Chargers Now is presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Will Ortner, and we have to break down which UDFAs can make the Chargers roster this off-season. A lot of fun, interesting options here for the Chargers. And I do believe that when you bring in 18 UDFAs, it's going to allow more players than we realize to make this squad. I think there's a couple of guys that really are putting themselves in a great position to be Los Angeles Chargers for at least 1 year, maybe multiple down the road. Prove that you love the Chargers by liking today's video. If you don't like today's video, then I don't know that I can agree that you're a real blue Chargers fan. I know it's a bit cliche, it's a bit corny, but, that's just how we do it here on the channel. Hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate it. Let's talk about Lander Barton. Now, I want it clear, none of these UDFAs are like 5 through 1. It's really just 5 guys that I think do have a shot at making the team. And Lander Barton, to me, is clearly one of those players. Now, had a lot of success with the Utah Utes. Obviously, last year, he was a captain, ended up having a bunch of tackles on the season for Utah. His big season, of course, though, was his freshman year where he really exploded on the scene for Coach Kyle Whittingham over there. Each year, I still believe that he got better and better, but maybe not quite to the same extent that he had the success that first year in the Pac-12. Also playing in the Big 12. A little bit different of a conference. I wouldn't say a better conference. That is certainly not true, but a different conference for sure. Now, what's the upside here for Barton? Well, he's a young linebacker. And when you go through the depth chart right now for the Chargers, I think there's a lot of really good, really successful players that are going to be on this team. A lot of guys that have been around the block for quite some time. But that's the thing, man. A couple of these guys have been around for quite some time. So you are eventually going to see a couple of these guys kind of go off and end up retiring. And I think the Chargers know that they need to get a little bit younger at that linebacker position. So would it make sense for this team to keep Barton, get him on the roster, use him in a couple of different spots? Maybe he plays in certain situations as a linebacker and let him grow into eventually being a starting linebacker with his crew. 100%. I think that's definitely possible. To me, he could be someone like a Will Compton, where it takes him a little bit of time, but then eventually he gets used in a bunch of different spots. And early on, how did Will Compton see the field? Well, it was because of his special teams abilities. And I think that Barton can add in on this as well. He's easily someone that can play on kickoff. He can easily play on kick return. He can easily play on punt return. You could probably even use him on field goal as well. Probably even field goal block if you really wanted to get after it. So when I look at a guy like Barton, I just don't see why the Chargers don't keep him on this team. He's got a bunch of different avenues to get onto the squad, and I really think that he can make this team. 4 more UDFAs that can make the Chargers team will be talked about and discussed in just a moment. But I got to let you know that today's show is made possible by our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app and is the best place to win cash while watching sports. With playoff baseball finally here, there's no better time to cash in than with our friends over at Prize Picks. And I'll tell you this, the app, it's super easy to use. To qualify for a Prize Picks lineup, pick 2 to 6 players and select more or less on stat projections, including points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers, and several others across all sports. If you're more of a baseball guy or gal, you can choose stats such as hits, home runs, and strikeouts. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. That, of course, includes me and producer Searle. You follow us on Prize Picks, and you get the picks before they even get posted on the show. I have a lineup for the football action going on later on this season. Fernando Mendoza, less on his regular season games started. Jeremiah Love, less on his rush yards. Jordan Tyson, more on his receiving yards. New user offer. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. Clickable link to download the app is in the comments and description of today's video. Next, let's talk about Isaiah World. And now this is going to be a UDFA that's a little bit more fascinating than most because you have to remember World is coming off an ACL tear. So there's a decent chance that he starts the season on the PUP list, physically unable to perform. When you're dealing with something like that, sometimes there are ways for the Chargers front offices around the league as well to get a player onto a team while not putting them on the active roster, but then eventually he can get put onto that active roster once he's off of his torn ACL. Now, when I look at this Chargers offensive line, I don't think that they're very good. And so there's a reason why to keep World here, keep World around, and then eventually he can add into this team. It's also clear that Jim Harbaugh really likes him and believes that World can be an impactful player on this squad. So give that a look. Don't be shocked if World ends up being on this team in just a moment. Let's talk about a defensive lineman on the interior that could end up making this Chargers roster, and that is a guy by the name of Terry Webb. Now, I think very highly of Webb. I think that he did a fantastic job last year over at SMU, and he gives this Chargers team something that they don't necessarily have already, or at least don't have to the same extent, and that's an interior pass rush. I feel like he can get after the passer better than some of these other guys that are already on the roster. Now, his ability to stop the run definitely has to be improved upon, but to sit here and say that he can't make the squad as maybe the 53rd guy, maybe he gets added in and he gets used as an elite pass rusher from the interior when it's pass rushing situations, I think that's an opportunity for him. When you can get after the quarterback, you cause a lot of havoc, you get sacks, you cause pressures. Well, shoot, that makes you very valuable to a team, and it could eventually get you onto that squad. So in my opinion, I think that Webb definitely gives this Chargers team something interesting to look at and gives him at least one avenue of making this team. Which UDFA do you believe will make the Chargers' final 53-man roster? Let me know down below in the comment section. Very interested in what you have to say there. And I think there's a couple of different avenues that you can go down. When you sign 18 UDFAs, well, shoot, there's a lot of spots for guys to sign. Let's talk about Noah Avinger next, safety from Utah State. Interesting player here that I think could be in a position to have a lot of success moving forward with this team. He also is able to add in my personal opinion, not just as a safety, but as a special teams player as well. Gets a lot of interceptions. On special teams, he could play a couple of different spots. He could be running down the field as a gunner. He could definitely be someone that is a blocking position on kickoff return. Same thing with punt and punt return. You can use him all over the place on those ST units. He also helps get this crew a little bit younger. Tony Jefferson is someone that I've talked about as being a little bit on the older side. Elijah Molden, I wouldn't say that he's old, but I also wouldn't say that he's young either. I think that safety room could get younger, and Avinger gives you an avenue to do that, and he's also a guy that literally can play on every single ST group except for probably field goal. And when you can play on a variety of different teams on that ST unit, you just give yourself 1,000 reasons why you can make the squad. Last, let's talk about Sincere Brown, and I will be sincere when I talk about him because I think that he's in a great and advantageous position to make this team. Last year, he obviously had a decent amount of success with the Colorado Buffaloes, but I think that he can add into this team in more ways than just one. He is a bigger-bodied wide receiver, and aside from Quentin Johnston, who, by the way, got his fifth-year option, shout out to him, there's not a lot of guys that are tall. I like Trey Harris. I like Ladd McConkey. I like Brenton Thompson. None of them are tall, right? So he could give the Chargers an added red zone target. And also, when you're a wide receiver, again, there are a lot of different special teams units that you can play on. And so, in my opinion, why couldn't there be a reason for Sincere Brown to come in and make this team? There's a couple other UDFAs that just were on the fringes, didn't quite make this crew, that I think, one, they could make the team, but there were different reasons why not to. Maybe it was a size thing. Maybe it was a depth in the position already. But those are my 5 guys that I think have the best shot to make this team. Who is the best Chargers undrafted free agent ever? Very interested in your opinion. Something tells me there will be a consensus number 1, but you never know. Sometimes it can be a little bit different. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. If you love the content on the channel, you're going to hit that thumbs up button. And if this is your first time checking out the channel, you're going to hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss out on any Chargers news or rumors. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Make sure that you bolt up.